Welcome to the SafeDefend safety demonstration and presentation. SafeDefend is a rapid response system that provides training, notification, and protection against active shooters and hostile threats. What do most of these schools have in common? These are randomly selected schools from the spring of 2017. I can let you know that they all have a plan. They all had training, whether it was Alice training or other run, hide, fight programs. They practiced them regularly. They all utilize security cameras. Typically, security cameras are used for other issues within schools, not just hostile threats. They had control access entry. They either had buzzers at the door, they had architectural designs, such as funneling visitors through the front office. They utilized phones, intercoms, and radios to communicate during these events. And many of the schools use armed resource officers. Even though they had all these security measures in place, they still had something that occurred. There was a communication failure. There was no alert and there was no lockdown until after these events were under control. Most events occur within the first 5 to 7 minutes when they're complete. Although we still have all these security measures in place, we have to look at why do we still have shootings and stabbings occurring across the United States. To better understand that, we need to look at where the threat comes from. The biggest piece of the pie, which may not surprise you, is 84% are troubled students. 5% are current or former employees, and 5% have a relationship with one of those. They're either a spouse, a sibling, a parent. They just want to bring down their forgotten lunch. Maybe it's a computer bag that they forgot at home. Can I just go down and see my wife? My son or daughter, they forgot this book bag. I need to bring it down to them. Only 6% have no relationship with anyone in the school. The point of this slide is to let you know that 94%, your biggest threat is already inside the building. There's students that showed up to school on time. There's staff that showed up to work on time. 94% are supposed to be inside your building. They know how to get past perimeter security. I'm going to show this brief video. This is from Parkland, Florida, that occurred in the middle of February that everybody's really familiar with. It's very brief. It's about 10 to 20 seconds long. You'll hear some gunshots and some kids screaming, and you'll see them huddled in the corner in the room. Take a look at this, and then we'll talk about it.
Holy.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
The reason I show that video is not just to get your attention, but to show and illustrate how chaotic an event is when it's occurring in a classroom, or for that matter, anywhere. If you noticed, it was utter chaos breaking loose in the classroom and in that building. I could only imagine being a teacher in that classroom and being expected to call down to the office, call out to 911, or perhaps get on the intercom system and notify the rest of the building that something's going on. I don't expect myself, a student, or a staff member to have to take on that responsibility during an extremely chaotic time. And the next question you need to ask yourself is, can it happen here? I'll give you two numbers, the number 0 and the number 19. The number 0 represents the number of school fire fatalities we've had in the past 50 years. The number 19 represents the number of weather-related school fatalities in the past 40 years. This number probably is very shocking to you, but it's the number 1,024, and it represents the number of homicides in schools in the past 30 years. The difference between what we do as society and governmental regulations, with the fire and weather, we have warning systems. We have notification systems in place that if the building were to catch fire, we simply pull a fire pole that's located throughout your building, sets off a series of sirens and strobes, immediately notifying everyone in the building it's on fire and they need to get out. We have very similar warning devices in place for weather. We have not, until this point, addressed the warning or notification portion for active shooters and violent situations. That's where SafeDefend comes in, and I'll explain that in a minute. Now, ask yourself, can it happen here? If you have any of these issues, and this isn't a trick question, we know that these exist in schools across the United States. You're trained to diffuse an angry parent, perhaps to reduce bullying in your schools. The problem is these still exist regardless of how much you work on these and how many preventative classes that you take and ongoing CEUs that you work towards. If you have any of these issues occurring in your district or your school building, you have the potential of having a homicide occur or some sort of hostile threat occur within your building. This is a video of the SafeDefend system and demonstration. During this video, you're going to hear an FBI agent discuss the system. You're also going to see our safe and our personal protection portion and how our alert function works. Take a look at this. It's a little over or a little under 3 minutes, and we'll talk when it's over.
We get on the PA system? 911. Hi, Chardon High School. We had shots fired, gunshots, multiple gunshots. Multiple gunshots? Yes. Do you know where? I want to say over by the gym. Gym? That's where it sounded like it came from, gym cafeteria area.
I worked with the FBI for 24 years. I worked a variety of crimes and criminal investigations, mostly violent crimes. My final position was as the FBI Special Agent in charge. About 2 or 3 months into that position is when the Red Lake High School massacre occurred. Everybody was really struggling with the emotions. It was just a horrific event, but we had to keep moving and we had to be professional. And I think that was the greatest challenge. After the event, we always have an after-action, sort of analysis. But we saw there was room to train schools, train administrators, and give them a much better fighting chance should this happen again.
I was an elementary principal at the time of the Sandy Hook tragedy, and the impact that it had upon me was overwhelming. I realized how vulnerable we really were. You see, Sandy Hook was actually better protected than my building. They were better prepared. It's the first time I felt like I couldn't protect my students and staff, that I couldn't protect my own children. SafeDefend was born from that tragedy. SafeDefend became for me a mission, a need, to make sure my students and staff get home to hug their families at night, to make sure my own children get home to hug me at night. That's why I created SafeDefend. When the system is activated, staff and employees have access to tools recommended by threat assessment experts, law enforcement, and emergency responders, which will help them escape, protect, or respond to a trauma. Emergency strobes are placed throughout the building and on exterior doors, immediately alerting staff that a crisis is taking place. With the swipe of the finger, the system is activated, immediately notifying law enforcement, staff, and district personnel of a crisis down to the room number. This allows everyone to have the information they need to effectively respond to a crisis.
There may come a time during a school or workplace shooting where you're confronted with the shooter and you have no option but to fight. That's a personal decision and has to be based on the circumstances at the moment. With SafeDefend, you will have at least some tools to try to defend yourself, tools that you can easily master and use without creating any greater danger. It also gives you the tools to escape, help you get out maybe a window that is locked, and in the worst case scenario, it has first aid if someone is injured.
I'm Jeff Green, and I created SafeDefend to protect those that I care about, and so you can protect those that you care about.
Okay, that was the SafeDefend system. What you were able to see, the system in place. You can see the notification aspect, and you can see how the alerts go out. And those alerts that go out to law enforcement, it's a direct phone call through our monitoring program from SafeDefend to 911, so you don't have to take that and worry about that job if something were to happen. It also informs all your staff within your building or on your alert list the exact location of the threat based off of which activation safe was set off or which one was activated. It does send off the sirens and strobes throughout the building. All of this occurs within about 10 seconds. There's no longer the delay of trying to relay a message down to the office and get on a bunch of security cameras, trying to direct traffic for an escape plan, or to inform certain classrooms they need to hunker down, get behind a locked door. All of this alerts everyone immediately, and then at the same time, it sends them the information that they need to make that decision. Because as we know with run, hide, fight programs, you don't know what to do first. These are not linear. You need to make that decision based off the information that you've received. So it is a first line of information taking you from there. So from now, I'm going to move into the direct benefits of the program. We have an immediate warning. There's no delay. Like I said, it's about 10 seconds from the time that the finger is swiped on the safes or the activation modules. There's no fine motor skills needed. You don't have to open up an app on your phone, figure out which buttons to push. You don't have to dial a series of numbers, including 911, and that number itself can be very difficult during a chaotic event, as you can imagine from what you saw during the video. Immediate lockdown occurs. It is immediate lockdown of your school building, and this allows you to separate your students from the bad guy. This isolates that person that's in there trying to do harm within your building. If the alert goes out and you know that the threat is on the opposite end of the building and your classroom, you receive your information, you know that you can escape out the door down hallway A or hallway B, depending on the information that you receive. You no longer have to wait for somebody in the office to determine where that threat is and make that all call to get everybody moving. They immediately go into lockdown behind their door and make that decision to escape or to hunker down. They do this because the location information is directly sent to them, and it's also sent to local law enforcement. They don't have to wait for 911 communication to get on the way to your building. They are immediately dispatched through the text, and they have follow-up information based off the call that we place through our monitoring program directly to 911. This allows them to respond 3 to 5 minutes faster from your local law enforcement and other EMS officials. This is a comprehensive plan, and as you saw in the most recent video, it has tangible survival options, including gel pepper spray, a metal retractable baton, window punch, high-intensity strobe, as well as blood clotting material, tourniquet, and other safety items. What this does for your school, it allows you to disrupt the hostile threat. They're there with a plan. They plan on to inflict casualties in your building. This allows you to disrupt their plan and defeat them, and at the same time, you'll reduce casualties because your students will be safe behind a locked door or being able to escape without any delay on notification. The biggest portion of this, it allows you to become, you no longer will be considered a soft target. You establish a deterrent, and you will therefore reduce your vulnerabilities as a school. The advanced features and some of the technical aspects of the system, it is a dedicated threat protection system. It's not complicated. It's not tied in with anything else in your school, such as a fire system. It's custom designed to accommodate any budget. We take a floor plan and create your specific design based off of your needs. It is access controlled. Because we utilize fingerprints of staff, there's no malicious activity and no false alarms, such as you'll find with panic buttons or fire alarm systems. The activation points are the modules as well as safety boxes, and both will maintain over 1,000 secure files. So easily covers an entire school building, staff, multiple fingers, in case one would be they would not have to remember if they utilize their left hand or their right hand. Perhaps they have a broken arm or so forth. It is network-based, plug and play, power over Ethernet. Majority of schools already have the Cat5 cabling within their building, and many of these are not utilized. Therefore, we can utilize these wires that are already existing, plug into this current system that you already have, and save you additional cost. These devices are remotely programmed, and they transmit the critical location information. If you have new hires, staffs throughout the year, or substitutes, you can program them and push them out from your web-based portal out to all the boxes, so all staff have access to every location within the building, not just their specific classroom. Like I mentioned, it is a secure web interface, and you control this system at building level. We do offer pro support plans that offer a turnkey service and extend your warranty and replaces products if they were to go out of date, such as the batteries in the high intensity strobe, the gel pepper spray, and the blood clotting material. Now we get to the serious portion that many of you want to know, and it's the average first year cost of equipment. This is based off of the first year on an average school building in a specific location based out of in the Midwest. 25 safes, 9 sirens and strobes with 1 training. The training is a 2-hour training, 1-hour practical training where they get to utilize the actual material and the safety tools in the safe, and 1 hour of mental simulation is a $39,000 investment your first year. 45 safes, 12 sirens and strobes, 2 trainings, so it'd be a 4-hour total for $64,000. And 70 safes, 15 sirens and strobes with 3 trainings is $93,000. We do have optional activation modules that can be utilized in certain locations that still activate the system. The only difference between an activation module and the safe is the material that's included for survival. All the material that you saw in the video, such as the gel pepper spray, the metal wand, the window brake, those items that were included. It does still alert law enforcement as well as local staff. The sirens and strobes go off, it calls 911, it does the entire notification part for you, and those are called activation modules. We can do that in combination with safes throughout your building for a complete protection program. We also offer as an optional investment pro support that would extend your warranty of your material or your equipment, and it would replace material if it were to go out of date. Once you get past the first year, there's a second year that includes an annual communication management fee. Because we monitor these similar to your fire pools in your buildings and call 911 when something were to happen, there is a cost involved with the communication management fee, and that ranges from anywhere from $1,200 to $2,000 on an annual basis. All costs are included with the original installment of your first year. So when you talk about 25 safes at $39,000, that includes your annual communication management fee, and it includes a pro support plan. What are your next steps? The next steps to moving forward is we would take a floor plan from all your buildings that you would like protected. We can start with 1, or we can go with all. The more we do, the more you'll save. We'll prepare a custom layout based off of your design and the available budget that you recommend. We'll prepare a coverage system and a price proposal for you to review. And as a final stage, we will meet and finalize your custom designed system along with financial options. Once you've approved, we will schedule the install and staff training. We will train your staff and conduct a live drill with your local law enforcement. We want everyone to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. That concludes the safety presentation and demonstration for SafeDefend. My contact information is on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me if we can schedule an in-person demonstration and we can move forward with protecting your schools. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.